In this video I will be demonstrating this Heady wire wrapped crystal point pendant. You can either replicate this design or you could use the technique shown in this tutorial to create your own unique pieces. I will be using this aura quartz crystal point in my design. First step is to sketch the shape of the frame. I start by drawing around my crystal. My frame will be quite simple and made using just one wire. I am leaving enough room above and below the crystal for the coils that will prevent the crystal from moving up or down. These wires behind the crystal will support it at the back. These coils of wire will allow plenty of space for attaching the coils and woven wires. I will also need a bail for the chain or cord. The bail will be created by bending the frame wire into a loop. This is the guide that I will use to shape my frame wire. For the frame you will need a wire that is strong enough to hold its shape when multiple wires are attached to it, but also not too difficult to bend into shape. I traced the shape of the frame with a piece of string to work out how long my wire should be. Cut the wire a little longer just to be sure. Bend the wire to match the guide. The frame is now ready. Now to make the coils. I start with 22 gauge wire. I will be wrapping with 28 gauge. I leave the wrapping wire on the roll, and to make life easier I am using my sewing thread spool holder to hold the roll. Start by wrapping the wire loosely a few times around the base wire. Approximately 1 inch from the end, bend the wire 90 degrees to create a handle. Squeeze the wrapping wire tightly against the base wire using your thumb and first finger. Turn the handle to wind the wrapping wire onto the base wire. Push the coils close together. When you have at least an inch of coils, straighten the wire and unwind the loose wraps. The core of my coil is 20 gauge. Use the frame to decide how long this coil should be. The 20 gauge wire needs to be the length of the coil plus at least half an inch extra on each end. From the start of the wrapped section, start tightly coiling around the core wire. The unwrapped part of the wire should coil once around the core wire. Remove the excess wires. Continue coiling the wire using the core wire as the handle. When you have a couple of inches of coil, wind it onto the core wire. Repeat until the coil is the desired length. Finish by wrapping the unwrapped part of the wire once around the core and remove the excess wires. I take 26 gauge wire and wrap it around between the coils. You can experiment with different gauges of wire to create thicker and thinner coils. I want to temporarily hold my crystal in place, so I use some masking tape. Now it is time to start attaching my coils to the frame. This first coil will sit below the crystal to prevent it from moving downwards. Hold the coil in position and wrap the coil wire around the frame. Squeeze the wire tightly against the frame. Bend the coil into position and attach at the other end. If I am attaching wires where two parts of the frame wire touch, I wrap the coil wire around both parts of the frame. This helps to make the frame stronger. I will now attach the coil that sits above the crystal. This coil prevents the crystal from moving upwards. will now attach my next two coils. The longer coil will sit above the bottom coil. The shorter coil will sit above the other, but I will attach this end of the coil first, as it will attach where these frame wires touch, which could be awkward to get to when the other coil is in place. Wrap the coil wire around both parts of the frame wire. I will now attach the other coil. I will build up my design by adding more coils. This first coil will wrap around both of the middle sections of the frame. I keep adding coils until I have filled up the bulk of my frame. I finish this step by rotating my bale 90 degrees.